watch and burn.
Hey everybody. So tonight I'm going to be talking about Danzig, as in Glenn Danzig's second foray into theatrical filmmaking. And I'm going to be discussing, whenever this came out. It came out a couple years ago, and that's Death Rider and the House of Vampires. Oh my god. I'm going to keep this short because I'm just going to end up repeating myself a bunch. I was tired when I finished this, and this movie is a strict hour and a half. Danzig isn't pushing it. Well, he is pushing it, but he's, as far as the runtime is concerned, he's not really pushing it. But as far as everything else is concerned, this movie's pushing it. I mean, the opening is 10 minutes long, then you get the title card and the opening credits and everything, and they are horribly done as well. But at the beginning, Devon Sawa, who's Death Rider, he comes across a vampire played by Danny Trejo. And when you see Devon Sawa attack him, it looks so bad. Devon Sawa runs up, clearly undercranked, and then Danny Trejo's just tied to the ground with the sun coming up. And that should have been it. And then maybe the opening credits should have rolled, but Danzig, for some reason, kept shooting back to Danny Trejo saying, don't leave me here, I'm going to get you. And then it shows the Death Rider riding off with this chick with her tits out, which I just don't get. I mean, I know it's Danzig, and Danzig's always had a thing for chicks with big tits, but she doesn't even do anything. She's left outside on the horse for the whole fucking movie. So I just don't see the point in having her there. But anyway, so it cuts back to that. And then, like I said, that would have been okay. Would have been a couple minutes, sort of like a showing Death Rider's powers or whatever. It would have set the movie up, I guess. But it keeps going back to Danny Trejo. Then it goes back to Death Rider. Then it goes back to the vampire. Back to Death Rider, the vampire. And it goes on for 10 minutes. And it is way too long. And as the movie progresses, you realize that Danzig did this at every possible turn in order to pad the runtime. These scenes should have been cut, say, at the 2-minute mark, while he lets it run for 3.5. And it does not need to run. You feel that extra minute and a half. It's like the dialogue is clunky, the shots are clunky. Danzig even is partly responsible for the cinematography of this. But fuck, this movie is unwatchable. It's just, I think the most alarming thing about this movie is how the score isn't the greatest. And Danzig, of course, being Glenn Danzig, known for his massive contributions to the history of popular music by way of fucking Misfits, Samhain, and Danzig. And considering the strength of both Black Arias, I know everybody hated the second one. I thought the second one, as a matter of fact, now that I'm thinking about it, would have made a way better soundtrack to this fucking movie than that piece of shit that Danzig did and called the score soundtrack for this movie. It feels phoned in. Even the opening, that Death Rider rides alone or whatever fuck he says it's just Danzig phoned the score in. That's quite the revealing statement. Glenn Danzig phoned the score in for his own movie. I mean, the movie might suck. Maybe he's not the best filmmaker, but you'd assume the score would be something because Danzig's amazing. Like, especially after Black Laden Crown. Like, the man still has it. So why didn't he use it here? Oh, fuck. This one was brutal. The effects, too. I heard rumors that Danzig actually poured a bunch of his own cash into this to make... Devon Sawa said that, I think, in an interview somewhere, that Danzig was pouring in a bunch of his own cash to make this movie look wicked. The effects are like something you'd find like in an asylum film or like a Christian movie or something. Like some some Bridgestone type shit here. Like, the effects are horrible. The story is pointless. The good thing I can say here is Danny Trejo's in it, Devon Sawa's in it, and Julian Sands is in this, which I think is really cool considering, of course, what ended up happening to Julian Sands. It's sad that he's gone now. And Warlock's like one of the best movies I've ever seen. So it's cool that they're in it. And Eli Roth pops up too, but Eli Roth clearly isn't trying. And the action scenes suck, and they look barely rehearsed, and fuck, this was rough. Like, I don't know how much money Danzig poured into the effects, but I hope it wasn't much, because this is some shit you could have just lifted off YouTube or something. It's awful. The score is terrible. And the opening credits don't even have any rhythm. And they're silent, except for this sort of like whistling sound of the wind or something. This movie's abysmal. But I will say it is a head and shoulders better, way better than his first one. That was a fucking horrible movie. That makes this look real. I'm done. I'm done. I don't care. This was awful. I had to I ended up fast forwarding a bunch. I couldn't. No, I couldn't not. The score was awful. That's it. So thank you so much for hanging out with me for a little over 5 minutes while I discussed Danzig's second film, and that is Death Rider in the House of Vampires. Like always, if you like this review, or for whatever reason, I doubt anybody's going to like this movie. But if you do, don't forget to go and do something nice for somebody, okay? But most importantly, please don't forget that the world is so much better because you're in it, okay? Getting out of here. Have a good night. I feel fucking tired now talking about this. When I finished the movie, I felt tired. Now that I finished talking about the movie, I still feel tired. I feel like worked. All right? Yeah, whatever. Have a good night.